there, Wizard of Arc here.
Yeah, let's talk about them cowboy chords.
Whoa there, partner. Let's not get too excited. But yes, let's talk about the cowboy chords. What are they, and how to play them? In the next video, we'll talk about why they are a great foundation for learning guitar. So what are the cowboy chords? Cowboy chords are the major and minor chords you can play in first position on guitar in standard tuning. First position means your hand is around frets 1 through 3, and the open strings are also involved. Standard tuning is E, A, D, G, B, E. The major cowboy chords are E, A, D, G, and C. The minor cowboy chords are E minor, A minor, and D minor. Let's take a look at each one of these at a time and how to play them. E major. First, the open lowest string, which we've tuned to E, so it makes sense that we just start with this one. So we play it open. Next, the second fret on the A string, which is the note B, the fifth of our E chord. Now, we play the second fret on the D string, which gives us another E. And for our third, which is G sharp, we'll play the first fret on the G string. Now the next string is tuned to a B, which is the fifth of our E major chord, so we'll play that string open. Finally, the last string is tuned to an E, so easy peasy. We play that string open as well. Remember only to use just enough pressure to make it sound cleanly. Too much pressure will hurt your hands and also make it harder to switch chords. A major. We'll be playing only 5 strings for this, so we'll start with our lowest A string, which will be played open. Then we'll play the second fret on the D string to give us our E, which is the fifth of our major A major chord. Now we'll be playing the second fret on the G string to give us another A, which is our root. For our major third, C sharp, we'll be playing the second fret of the B string. Finally, our high E string will play open because that's the fifth of our chord. D major. We'll be playing only 4 strings for this chord. So let's play our open D string as our lowest note, which is our root. Then we'll play the second fret on the G string to give us our fifth, which is A. Then we'll play the third fret on the B string to give us another D. And then on the E string, we'll play the second fret to give us our major third, which is F sharp. These are the 3 cowboy chords with roots on the lowest open strings. For the next 2, the lowest roots have to be fretted, G major. On the E string, we'll play our third fret, which gives us our lowest G. Then our A string, we'll play second fret to give us our B, our major third. The next string is tuned to D, which is our fifth, so we'll play that open. The next string is G, which is our root, and we'll play that open. And also with the B string, that's our third, so we'll play that open. Finally, On our high E string, we will play the 3rd fret to give us our G again. C major. We'll be playing this on 5 strings. On the A string, we'll play the 3rd fret, which just gives us our lowest C, our root. On the D string, we'll play the 2nd fret, which is our 3rd, the note E. The next string is tuned to G, which is our 5th, so we'll play that open. On the B string, we'll play the 1st fret, which gives us our root, C. Finally, our high string is tuned to E, which is our 3rd, so we'll play that open. Now for the minor cowboy chords. E minor. Since our lowest string is tuned to E, which is our root, we'll play that open. And on the A string, we'll play the 2nd fret to give us our 5th, B. On the D string, we'll play a 2nd fret to give us our root, E. The next string is tuned to G, which is our minor 3rd, so we'll play that open. The next string is B, our 5th, we'll play that open. And then finally, E, our high string, is tuned to the note we need, so we'll play that open as well. Notice if you compare this to E major, it's the same except the 3rd is 1 fret lower. And this will be true for all major and minor chords. A minor. We'll be playing 5 strings only for this one. We want to have the A be our lowest note here for this lesson. So A string, because we're playing an A. Then we'll play the 2nd fret of the D string to give us our E, which is the 5th of our A major chord. Now we'll be playing the 2nd fret of the G string to give us another A, which is our root, of course. For our minor 3rd C, we'll be playing the 1st fret of the B string. Finally, our high E string, that's our 5th, so we'll play it open. Notice if you compare this to A major, it's the same except the 3rd is 1 fret lower. D minor. We'll be playing 4 strings for this chord. Our lowest note we'll be using is our open D string, which is our root, so I'll play that open. Then we'll play the 2nd fret of the G string to give us our A, which is our 5th. Then we'll play the 3rd fret on the B string to give us a D, which is our root. And then on the E string, we'll play the 1st fret to give us our minor 3rd, which is F. And notice if you compare this to D major, it's the same except the 3rd is 1 fret lower. I hope you found this tour of the cowboy chords useful to you. Next week, we'll explore what else these cowboy chords can teach us about guitar. Some of this information is on the Wizard of Art website, and the link is in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. Slán!